Hello and welcome. In this video we're going to be taking a look at the Kawai CA701 concert artist digital piano. It's a fantastic piano. I've had it for a few months now. I'll explain what I like about this one and I'll go through all the features in this video. So let's get cracking. So let's start by saying that it wasn't an easy decision to buy this, because when you are investing in a digital piano you are parting with potentially quite a lot of cash, and I wanted to make sure I could get the best possible piano I could get for my money, but obviously you can just keep going and you can keep looking at the next expensive model and going, ooh, that's got some nice features, ooh, and that one, and so on. You have to stop at some point. I'm not a millionaire. There are professional grade wooden keys across this 88 key keyboard. It's got really nice multi-channel sound modelling. It sounds great coming out the speakers. It sounds potentially, I think, even better coming out of some headphones. And it just feels and sounds like you're playing a grand piano. I think this is a good model for anyone who is, I would say, for a serious student or professional player. But I always firmly believe that if you are starting out, if you're a beginner, you kind of need a decent instrument. It's a bit of a false economy, I think, to buy a beginner instrument. I know why people do it, because it's expensive. But if you start to become introduced to an instrument on a beginner model, often it just doesn't give you the pleasure. It doesn't feel nice. It doesn't sound good, and actually that can be counterproductive. And people can end up not continuing to learn because they're just not getting enough back. If you can afford to invest in a better quality, a high quality instrument like this, then I think you are much more likely to continue to learn as a beginner, because it's going to give you so much more back as you're learning to play it. That's my personal opinion anyway. So a bit more about sort of why I think this is a really authentic instrument. It has the Grand Field 3 action. So it features these long 88 wooden keys. It's got a seesaw pivot mechanism, so it's sort of grade weighted hammers, and the surface of the keys, the ivory and the ebony kind of surfaces, are really nice to the touch. And because it's got this long pivot length on the keys, it matches that you find in a grand piano, even though obviously the mechanism that isn't there in the back of this thing like it would be in a grand piano. But it ensures that you get a very consistent touch even when you're playing sort of at the very back of the keys. So it feels very realistic and it's very responsive. So that's nice. It also has this SKEX rendering engine, which powers the sort of the flagship sounds here, and it features two distinct concert grands. They're both really nice. I think all the sounds on this are nice. I actually tend to just switch this thing on though and just go with the default piano option that you get when you boot it up. It just sounds amazing. It's warm, it's sensitive, it's very rich. So I mentioned about the kind of immersive audio. It has a 6-speaker system, and you can see the speakers across the kind of the top of the unit. It's got quite a nice kind of cover on that. I think it looks quite nice. But when you kind of turn it on, start playing, turn the volume up, you can really get the benefit from the sound. It comes kind of firing down from below the piano, but also up out of the top. It just feels very immersive. And when you connect your headphones, it just sounds amazing. I often practice with them on, and it just sounds like you've not got headphones on at all, which is a strange thing to say. It really just feels like the sound is in the room with you. So as I mentioned, it's got the Kawai EX Concert Grand and the SK5 Chamber Grand. It's got that one's a bit more intimate sounding than the Concert Grand, which is kind of a bit more traditional stage sound. And it's got this selection of various upright pianos that have got a nice kind of homey feel to it. In addition to that, it's got various other stuff, which I wasn't really aware of this actually. I didn't really look into this, so it was a nice surprise when it arrived. It's got quite a few different electric pianos, and they're all really nice, reed-based pianos and more modern ones. It's got various organs as well, jazzy organs and sort of church organs. I don't play them very often, but it's just nice to have them, and they do sound good. And then it has some other sort of other sounds that I don't really use very much, like harpsichords, for example. But they're there if you want them. So in terms of inputs and outputs, there's quite a few on this machine. It's quite well equipped for, I think, for practicing at home. But I guess also if you had this in a professional setup, which I don't, there's quite a lot of inputs and outputs that help there too. But it's all housed on the underside of the keyboard as well, so it's kind of kept out of sight of the main look of the cabinet, which sort of stays looking very sort of clean and simple. I do like the look of it, I have to say. It doesn't have all of these little kind of like outputs spoiling the view and the aesthetics. It has 2 headphone jacks, and they're kind of just tucked away to the left side underneath. They're quite easy to access, but like I say, they're out of sight. They're not unsightly. And one of them is a 1/4 inch, and one is an 1/8 inch, so like a mini jack. So you can stick in your standard earbuds, or you can put in your Pro studio headphones if you like, and you can have them both at the same time. And both of those headphone output jacks benefit from this spatial headphone sound processor. Yeah, if it wasn't just for my ears getting hot with headphones on, I'd probably have it on that all the time. Anyway, so that's the headphone kind of connections. It's also got a USB to host socket, so you can connect your piano up to a computer, and it will act then as a sort of high-end MIDI controller, and you can use it with your favourite DAWs like Ableton, Logic, and so on. It also has a USB to device underneath on the front, where you can just stick in a USB flash drive. I find this feature very handy. I use this a lot, so you can basically record your performances, and it saves it as either. You can choose whether to be a WAV file or an MP3 file. I tend to go with WAV because it retains the high quality recording. I can then go and use it in my DAW or whatever I want to do with that afterwards in terms of post-production. You can also play backing tracks of your favourite songs using the USB device, and I think you can load custom virtual piano artisan settings. I've not done that, but there's also a separate hidden USB. I say hidden because I only found it the other day when I was lying on the floor for some reason stroking the cat. I looked up and I could see this other USB port underneath, which is a dedicated port which is strictly used for sort of firmware updates and updating the instrument's operating system. To be honest, I've not done that. Maybe I won't need to, I'm not sure. It's there, but I've not actually interacted with it yet. It has Bluetooth connectivity as well. Again, I don't really use this. I only use this once or twice, but you essentially can send music to this from, your phone and whatnot, wirelessly, obviously, with it being Bluetooth. And so you can use it actually just as a speaker. It's a pretty decent speaker if you just want to listen to music. If you have your piano like I do in your living room, you can just use that for your music playing. But it's quite nice because you can also send music to it or backing tracks and then play along, obviously. So that's nice. So yeah. Moving on, there are 3 foot pedals that come with it. They're really nice. They're a nice sort of shiny and sturdy chrome kind of effect, and they feel very robust. They don't feel like you're going to tread on these and they're going to just snap off. They really feel like they're going to go the distance. This piano comes in, I think, 4 finishes. I've obviously gone for the satin white finish here. This is the minimalist choice. It sort of fits in with my fairly modern living room, which is also quite light in colour and minimalist. So it looks good. It's got a very smooth matte surface and it feels bright and airy. I did agonise quite a lot over the colour. I was thinking, should I go for the black or this? I just couldn't work it out. I thought like the black might look a bit too might stand out a bit too much, be too imposing. I felt like in the end the white would complement the existing the colours in my room of the walls and the skirting board. This was perfect. This was the perfect model for me. It was right there at the top of my budget, and I've had it, like I say, a few months. I do not regret this purchase. I think it's an amazing piano. It sounds lovely, and I'm going to look after it and play it for many years to come. I don't regret it. I'm going to look after it. I'm going to love it. I'm going to play it for many years to come. So thanks for watching this video. Drop me a like and a subscribe if you don't mind. Helps to support the channel, and hopefully you'll come back and we'll see you next time in the next video.